Well, anyway, the U.S. government's cybersecurity chief abruptly quit last week. And he stated it was because, gee, not only was he saying, gee, I'm being underfunded, but more importantly, he said it was being unduly controlled by the country's ultra-secretive National Security Agency. Now, you may not remember the NSA. What's interesting about the NSA was, remember when it came out that they installed their equipment in every NOC, that's Network Operations Center, every telephone connecting building in the world, the phone lines come in? Because of the Telecommunications Act of 1996, which I know you stayed abreast of. But what's important is, after they gave us the 9/11, the one with the fake anthrax? When I say fake, the anthrax was real, but it came from our laboratories, not from LCIADA's. What was important about that, though, was that they said, well, we're going to start spying. They always have been, but we're going to start spying on foreign telephone calls. And it wasn't until an AT&T employee said, no, they're spying on every phone call. They're recording every phone call. So once again, similar to what the generals in the Air Force said, they took the satellites that they put in space and they turned them in on our own citizens. So spying on the citizens. Remember, we had this thing, if you remember, and it's up to you to keep it, not just me or anybody else, but these were the Bill of Rights. To spy on someone, to record their calls, to do all that, you had to go see a judge before, and you had to say, I've got probable cause. This person's doing illegal things, or we believe that they are. And why this cybersecurity chief quitting is important is because he later goes on to state, and he says, the intelligence culture is very different than the network operations of security culture. In addition, the threat to our democratic process, do you understand that? Okay, are significant if all top government network security and monitoring are handled by one organization, either directly or indirectly. During my term as director, we have been unwilling to subjugate the NCSC underneath the NSA. So once again, the NSA has been caught spying on everyone. You can't see what they're doing. You don't know what they're doing, okay? But it's come out that now they're spying on every American citizen. And now you're probably familiar with the no-fly list. Yes, remember that? The no-fly list. The one where you and your children and your future children could have their names put on a list that they didn't know how they got their name on. Maybe they had dissent. They didn't like the way things were. Maybe, who knows, they talked to LCIADA. But either way, they got their name put on a list, and they've never been proven guilty of anything, had the evidence presented in front of a judge or any jury, okay, even presented in front of themselves, let alone their accusers, those who accuse that they did this evidence. So we now have lists that we secretly put people on. We tell you can't travel without them. Where in history has that happened before? With the terms for my Sharon viewers, you Sharonites out there that survived the Holocaust, if I said, "Where are your papers?" would that mean anything to you? How many times do you have to show your ID at the airport? Why are you being treated like LCIADA? Why do you have to take your shoes off? What's happening, people? Okay, but this changed anyway. So this is news, and I thought this was important because something else is happening. They're also trying to pass laws. You probably have heard, or maybe you haven't. I'll bet you haven't, because there's so much sporting news on. You got to watch sports and stuff, and all the reality TV shows and all that. But have you heard of the Cyberbullying Act? That's where if someone's feelings is hurt by something you said or something someone else published that, quote, you said, that you now have, quote, committed a federal crime and can serve 2 years or pay thousands of dollars in fines because you hurt someone's feelings on the web. Think about that. In the land of freedom of speech, you're now being told that your federal government, have you seen the consolidation of power? Have you seen the police state growing? But now your federal government can tell you what you can say and what you can't. You hurt someone's feelings. Heaven forbid you ever hurt someone's feelings by something you say. See, this is why hate speech is wrong. And you have to be willing to stand up and fight for the right of everyone to have free speech, because it's not popular speech that needs to be defended. Don't you get it? Don't you see your freedom slipping away? Can't you feel it? Maybe you can't. But anyway, it's up to you, once again, to fight for the First Amendment. Okay? And there's many things in the First Amendment. Freedom of speech is just one of them. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, just so you know, yeah, they said they're turning the satellites in. Yeah, they said they're putting cameras up everywhere. You see them on the highways. Okay? The worldwide wiretap, yeah, we listen to all your phone calls and all your data traffic and stuff because you could be LCIADA. Okay, so anyway, that was one bit of news. I had another bit of news I thought was interesting because kind of like behind the scenes, you don't see how it's happening. It just came out in the Boston Globe. You may not have read the Globe. I myself think it's not worth wrapping fish in, but it comes out in the Globe that they wanted to give the MBTA long-range semi-automatic and automatic rifles. And you got to ask yourself, the last time you got on the T, as it's called here in Boston, what do they need long-range rifles for? Do they have to shoot somebody way up on the track before the T can get there? Or what, they need automatic weapons because when you're in a busy train station or in a busy train with a lot of people commuting, you need to be able to spray. Or is this just to create fear on the people? To see, like they see in third world countries, your law enforcement with automatic weapons. Is that, I mean, what about this police state? Why would our MBTA think, even consider that they need automatic weapons? And why would we sit back and do nothing? Well, it turns out it gets better than that. Because it's funny, when they talk about them, when they publicly speak about them, I'll give you some quotes. Let's see, some the latest plan. Let's see, Boston, let's see, police add assault rifles across the state. This is the news thing. But officials point to terror concerns. Rather interesting. Terror concerns. Yeah. What do they think? The students in Boston, because they have a large population of students, college students that is, that they're terrorists? Oh, that's right, returning veterans are terrorists if you read the MIAC report or the Department of Homeland Security reports. Oh, that's right, Christians are terrorists. I forgot. That's right. There's so many terrorists out there. You got your eco-terrorists. Should I go through the list of everyone who's a terrorist? Homeschoolers, if you read the reports, are possible terrorists. Anyone who says they stand for this, the Constitution, in this case you're looking at a copy of the Bill of Rights, that they are terrorists. Didn't they have to swear an oath to it? Yet this police state grows and you sit back and say nothing. Maybe you say something. If you do, come on the show. Say something with me. So anyway, the other thing I noticed, anyway, the odds that a local police officer in Massachusetts has access to a military-grade assault rifle, okay, whether in the trunk of a cruiser or in a police station, are far stronger than authorities have previously revealed. In other words, gee, while we've been sleeping, local law enforcement has been receiving what? It was one thing to have SWAT teams and then assistant SWAT teams. But now, folks, are you figuring it out yet? Freedom of speech being taken away. Police getting assault rifles. Do they need assault rifles? Now, maybe in some instances there are, cases where they do. But I think that's why they have SWAT teams and stuff, right? But now, just in general, we're going to start moving military hardware. The militarization of our police and local law enforcement. You'll probably watch there'll be the federalization of them too, but something to consider. Anyway, like I said, some 82 cities and towns across the Commonwealth, yours, ours, theirs, have introduced a total of 1,000 plus such rifles to their arsenals over the last decade. And this, state public safety officials confirmed yesterday, many of them acquired in recent years in response to the fear of terrorist attack. Well, who sells you that fear? And who sold you that terrorism? Who was it again? Was it that major manipulated media? The one that only 6 companies own, some of them not even American? Should I tell you about Bertelsmann? Who owns your, CNN and VH1 and MTV and, just don't even get me going. Let alone Murdoch, right, with his, with what, Fox? Not even Americans, anyway. The latest police force to obtain the increased firepower appears to be the MBTA. Once again, the Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority. They evidently need assault rifles. But it's interesting because the way, when they talk about it, they call them, they just spent $13,000 on a set of semi-automatic assault rifles. But I was interested to find that when the actual government representatives spoke, that they were not called assault rifles, they were rifles. But it's funny, the guy who wrote the article realized, gee, these are, because remember the assault weapons ban? Deborah Sampson, a wonderful gal, who fought in the Revolutionary War against tyranny from this very town of Sharon, she's in front of our library holding a rifle. And it's rather interesting. Back then, would they have called it an assault rifle? See the way we use fear and we use words? Very Orwellian. But anyway, rather interesting.